Yo, what's up everyone, it's your girl Bex. Welcome back to the race rundown. Right, I have a confession to make, everybody. I have been very busy the last few weeks. As you may have noticed, there was no China. There was no Japan. And we've just had the Miami Grand Prix. Now, this was originally going to be a double header to make up for the fact that I missed the two, but then life got in the way, everyone. My fiance's just moved in. I've been dealing with a lot, but I'm back. I'm back, and boy, oh boy, do we have a return race for you. Oh my god. Right, so now that the apologies are out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so here's how I'm going to do this. Race rundown of China. Then I'm going to skip to Japan footage because I have it all recorded, I just haven't edited it. And then we're going to cut back to me, present day, time of recording, talking about the Miami Grand Prix. Is that cool with everyone? I love how I just say that as if you guys can actually respond to me. But yes, you have 3 times the length of my voice, you lucky, lucky people. Let's cut to China. The Chinese Grand Prix, what went down, what I agree with, what I don't agree with, whether it was a good race or not. And basically give you the race rundown. That's it, end of episode. Not end of episode, we've got stuff to talk about. So, let's get straight into it. The Chinese Grand Prix did not disappoint. We had plenty of action in Shanghai. From tyre deg to Lando leading for 5 laps to everything in between. We had everything. We had a yellow flag, we had a virtual safety car, and we had a safety car. Then we had the Strollpedo. We had Hamilton crying like a little biatch. We had everything you need to make a good Formula 1 race. And that lead that Max had. From lap 1, man. Lap 1. Like, come on, at least try and be a bit slower for everybody else. I think that's where we should start. Is that Red Bull running on rocket fuel? Because honestly, that lead that Max Verstappen has over everybody else, like at this point, cover position 1, like just cover it. And just we'll do from like second onwards, because it's blatantly obvious who is going to win every race. Like at this point, if Max doesn't win, it's not Formula 1. It's kind of like the domination that Lewis had. To be honest, I find it boring, but it is what it is. All the Red Bull fans are over the moon. Yeah, so we had the beginning of the Shanghai race, obviously Zhou Guanyu home race. First time in Shanghai for 5 years, I believe. And it was great. It didn't disappoint. So we had, obviously, Max with a lead out of lap 1. The tyre deg, soft tyres for Lewis, as he said on the radio. Not getting anywhere. Starting right at the back of the grid. Out in Q1, which, I mean, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. I'm sorry, it just is. So, the race goes as any other normal F1 race would. And then, all of a sudden, I can't remember the lap that it was on, but Bottas comes off. I say comes off, uses the runoff area. Engine failure on the Kick Sauber. Obviously not great, as they've got Zhou home race. However, he gets the car safely to the side of the track. The car is stuck in gear still. Not ideal, so they wave a yellow flag, basically telling everyone Bottas is on the track. At this point, I was thinking, is it a virtual safety car? Is it going to be a full safety car? Let's see. So, we have a couple overtakes. We have Sainz trying to overtake, flat spot on the tyres, major lockup. Are we surprised with that from a Ferrari? No, not particularly. So, again, we're not even going to go into that. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, this is great. Lando hasn't pitted yet. He can pit under the virtual safety car. It'll be fine. McLaren's strategy did not call him in fast enough. He did not get to go in on that first lap of the virtual safety car. He could have been on fresher tyres. Whatever. Anyway, he gets in there. The safety car comes out. We're all going around the track. We're all bunching up. Then, the Strollpedo. Now, as you can tell from the Japanese Grand Prix, I believe I commented on Daniel Ricciardo in that episode how I think that he is washed up and does not deserve that second seat of Red Bull. This weekend, I stand by that. I, as you know, do not like Lance Stroll. There is no secret here that the Race Rundown podcast is not the biggest fan of Lance Stroll. However, of course, I still think he deserves a seat. Of course. However, this weekend's antics were very questionable. I have rewatched that footage of the Stroll pedo absolutely plummeting into the back of Daniel Ricciardo about 10 times, okay? And whatever angle you watch it from, it's not looking good for Stroll. But Sky F1, we love the guys at Sky F1, they had a very interesting take on this, because when you look at the footage of what happened in between the bunch up and Stroll smashing into the back of Daniel Ricciardo, you see that Alonso actually locked up and had to stop. He locked up quite badly and had to stop, and stop-ish, and therefore the rest of the pack just bunched up. So they were saying that potentially that them having to stop as quickly as they did, and Danny Ric having to not slam his foot on the brakes, but, you know, brake and try and stop so that he didn't hit Piastri, then caused Lance to... Well, Lance, realistically, depending on what footage you look at, he didn't have a lot of opportunity to stop, right? Like, that's a given. He didn't have a lot of opportunity to stop because there wasn't a lot of opportunity for anybody, because everyone was bunched up, everyone was eager to restart after the safety car, right? However, and Danny Ric himself mentioned this in an interview, he, when you look at the onboard footage, was not looking at Danny Ric. He was looking at the apex of the corner. So there's an argument of, was he just not looking? Because everyone in front of him was going a lot slower than he was. So was he just not looking? And he's looking to use the bunching up as an excuse for just not looking? Because if so, that's freaking dangerous driving and he needs to get that sorted. Was Danny Ric in the wrong for putting his foot on the brakes? I don't know. Obviously, we've also seen the two Red Bulls go into each other. Like, Danny Ric is... I was about to say something mad then. But yeah, Danny Ric is used to being hit from behind. There, I said it. We were all thinking it. There, I said it. We've seen it with Max and him. We've seen it nearly with Lando and him at McLaren. Nearly. Lando managed to skirt out of there, but we nearly saw it. So I want to know in the comments of the people that actually sit and listen to this podcast and, you know, don't get bored of my voice. Do you think that he was to blame? Do you think, and by he I mean the Stroll pedo, do we think Daniel Ricciardo was to blame? Do we think it was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other? Are we coming straight from left field and saying that it's Alonso's fault? What are we saying? What are we saying? Because I need to know. I need to know. Other than that, and obviously Zhou having his moment in front of the crowd for his home race, I thought that was a really nice touch at the end. Other than that, there wasn't really a lot that went on between anyone else. There was obviously the contact with Tsunoda. Are we surprised? It's almost like Tsunoda is just the little pocket rocket. I've called him that in a previous episode. I'm sure you could go back to episode 1 or 2, I think it was. He is a very feisty man and he likes to take people out sometimes. So yeah, besides that contact, which we all know who is to blame for that one, there wasn't really a lot from Shanghai, to be honest. There wasn't as much excitement as, say, Australia with Max being out or whatever. It was very, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it kind of was. Like, there was a bit of excitement, but for the first race back in 5 years, there wasn't a lot. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Let's cut to the race rundown of the Japanese Grand Prix. What is up, you fabulous bunch of people? It's your girl Bex. Welcome back to the race rundown post Japanese Grand Prix. I think we should jump straight in to something that has been bothering me this last week, and that is Max Verstappen and his outlook on the F1 Academy. Now, I feel like depending on... Oh, I don't want to say this, but I feel like depending on your gender depends on whether you like F1 Academy or not. Yeah. I don't know. So, we'll get into what Max has said. Max has discussed F1 Academy and the difficulties women face in motorsport in an interview. And he said, there are girls, but much fewer than boys. For example, our team now only has boys riding. But if there was a fast girl among us, then of course we want her too. That just shows how it is in the real world. Team bosses don't look at whether someone is a boy or a girl, it's about how fast they are. It is good that Formula One now pays extra attention to women in motorsport with the F1 Academy, although I have doubts about how they approach it. The cars they drive are way too slow. If you ever want them to get into Formula One, it really has to go to a higher level. It's nice that girls are now sponsored by F1 teams, but what do we actually help with? There is no next step for them now. For example, the gap to Formula 4 car is already too big. So he's basically saying that it's great that the initiative is a thing and that we're highlighting that gender gap in the sport, but he's also saying that they've almost pigeonholed themselves in the fact that the cars are not good enough. But then, at the same time, he's also undermining what he's saying by saying that if they stuck one of the drivers in a Formula 1 car, one of the girl drivers in a Formula 1 car, and they were faster than one of the lads, they would put them in the car and let them race. I don't think they would. Now, I absolutely love F1, right? But this whole we race as one, why is there not a female? And you can't tell me that they're not fast enough. Have they been given the same opportunities? Have they been given the same cars? No, they haven't. They just haven't. I'm sorry, they just haven't. So I'm going to stand by that argument. I think that they've only been pigeonholed with slower cars because that's all that they've been given. And I feel like having somebody such as Susie Wolff at the head of the programme will definitely help. Will definitely help in the future in terms of getting women into the sport. I think it's a starting step, but unfortunately I don't think that it's going to be a fix. I don't think we're going to see women in F1 for another 10 years. And I hate that because I would love to see a fast, dominant female Formula 1 driver. But I just don't think that is going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen, and that I hope in the future when I have kids that they will see a strong female Formula 1 driver on the grid. I want that for my little girl if I have a little girl. I want that for my little boy if I have a boy. Like, I want them to see that there is equal opportunity in this world, and I feel like it's a touchy subject at the moment, but I feel like eventually we will get there, but a lot more needs to change. And as much as I am not a fan of Mercedes, as you know, I am a fan of the female boss powerhouse that is Susie Wolff. I think the way she conducts herself, and Toto to be fair, the way they conduct themselves is always in a professional manner. Front facing, anyway, like towards the cameras, it's always very professional. They're always very kind to everyone. Every interview I've seen, they're both very kind. They're both very tolerant of people. I feel like they've had a lot of scrutiny, not only recently with all the stuff going on with the FIA, but also, and the lawsuit, we won't even get into the lawsuit. They've had a lot of scrutiny with that at the moment, but then they've also had a lot of scrutiny from when Mercedes were winning and Toto was on top. There was lots of talk about him and his family, which I don't necessarily agree with. And I feel like they've always conducted themselves in a very professional manner, and I feel like of all the people that could tackle F1 Academy and bring it to the next level, I feel like Susie Wolff was the best choice for that role. I feel like she's seen it from an insider's perspective. She's got the connections, she's got that link to the sport already, and I feel like it's the perfect way to just get going with it. Obviously it's only in its infancy at the moment. It started in 2023. Lord knows where it could go. I hope by 2033, on the 10-year anniversary, that we have one or two even female Formula 1 drivers on the grid and can be like, look at how far we've come, look at what we've achieved, look at this. Then, you know, because I follow some amazing Formula One fans on Instagram. Some amazing Formula One fans that are female, and there's such a strong female dominance in the sport, and to have a female on the grid would be absolutely amazing. Just having that representation. Obviously, we all love the drivers, we all love the sport, but having that female driver to get behind would just be an amazing feeling, not only from obviously me being a female, but also just seeing that the sport is changing. It's a male dominated sport in terms of, well, people. I very rarely see females, up until recently, in front of the camera. Sky F1 have been very good at changing with the times and having people like Natalie Pinkman, Danica, who, again, I'm still not sure how I feel about her, but anyway, she's, there's quite a few F1 commentary team that are female now, and that's great, and I love that, and I love that there are strong females that know their shit about the sport. I think it's great for not only the F1 fans and our representation, but also young girls that are coming in and watching the sport with their dads, like I did when I was a kid, or going to races with their parents. Some families are racing families, and they go to the races and they watch the cars at Brands Hatch, or they go to Formula One races. And it would be so good to have a female Formula One driver to cheer after. But yeah, that's my take on that. So, contact on turn 3. Beginning of the race, Danny Ric into Albon. Red flag. Everyone in the UK that got up early immediately pissed off. We could have all stayed in bed for an extra hour. No, of course I'm joking. Although Elaine, I did fall asleep, but Elaine would have been nice. She's from the UK and she cries about getting up early. I know, typical. But, hear me out, okay? Turn 3, red flag, Port Albon. Well, actually, no, not Port Albon. Logan Sargent had to suffer, so do you. Anyway, I believe in karma. I think that was a thing. We saw that this weekend. Danny Ric. We're going to jump into it, okay? The lovable Australian. Everyone's saying if Max leaves Red Bull, will Danny Ric join alongside Sergio Perez? Now, I don't know why I said his name like that, but I did. Sergio Perez. And this is an unpopular opinion, I don't know if anyone else has this opinion, let me know. I think Danny Ric is washed up and it's his time to go. The RBs are not bad cars this season, yet he is still completely and utterly butchering it. He is butchering it and needs to get his shit together. If he is trying to audition to get back into that Red Bull, he is failing. He is failing. He needs to pack up his helmet, pack up his racing suit, and go back to Australia and figure it the fuck out, because he doesn't have a clue at the moment. I don't want to see him at Red Bull. I don't want to see him on the track, to be honest. And I love Danny Ric. I don't want to see him on the track. I am a firm believer that McLaren only let him win in Imola because they wanted to boost his confidence. That should have been Lando's race to win. That's an unpopular opinion, but I don't care. That was Lando's race to win. And they used it as an opportunity to boost Danny Ric's confidence. And I don't think that's right. I think he needs to just pack up, ship up, and disappear. He will never, with the performance he's putting in at the moment, get in that Red Bull car. I'm sorry. It ain't happening. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. Another person that I honestly believe thinks that he's going to be number one driver and won't be as of 2025 is, you guessed it, Mr. Charles Leclerc. I am worried about this man because he has been led down the promise that he is going to be number one driver. He will not be number one driver when LH moves to Ferrari. I'm sorry, he won't be. I think it's a given that a 7-time world champion is going to be number one driver. And I feel like that is going to be a bitter pill for our mate Charles to swallow. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like Lewis is going to be number one driver and nobody can change my mind. Has anybody thought about buying Ferrari merch in preparation yet? I don't know. I'm half tempted to buy a Lewis Hamilton Ferrari shirt next season. And that's saying something, because as you all know, we're 6 episodes in now? I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan, but I feel like because I was so adamant that this would never happen, and seeing him in red was something that I would never witness, I almost feel like I want a shirt just for the culture. Do you know what I mean? Like, I almost want to get a vintage shirt from when he was at McLaren, when I used to watch it with my dad when I was younger. Skip the Mercedes era. I don't care about that. And then get a Ferrari shirt. I feel like I'm going to do that. If I do, I'll post a picture on the Race Rundown Instagram. I just feel like I need, for the culture, a branded Team Lewis Hamilton shirt. But I feel like they're going to be like rocking horse shit. Everyone's going to want one. So we'll see. But obviously with Lewis making that switch, an announcement came out the other day that Tommy Hilfiger, one of the biggest sponsors for Mercedes, I believe, has pulled its sponsorship as of next year. Are we surprised? No. I believe I said this a couple of episodes ago, that when he moves over, we'll see how many sponsors they no longer have. And I'm not wrong. It's already started. They have pulled the sponsorship. Mercedes are entering into a partnership with Adidas instead, as it will facilitate both leisure wear and the team's racing suits for 2025. Are they doing that because Lewis and Tommy are close? Or is it because this is just a new sponsorship that's been on the horizon for a while? We do not know. The team wants to show from this is gpblog.com reporting, saying that the team want to show that they have enough commercial value even without Lewis. I'm not sure that's true. Now, we're going to get into this because I stand by the fact that Lewis Hamilton is the moneymaker of Mercedes. George, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I think that George, aka Woody from Toy Story, has the personality of a brick wall. He's not good on camera. He is very hot-headed when it comes to driving the car. He likes to moan over the radio a lot. He is still in his infancy at the team, I understand that, but he has a long way to go in terms of growing up. An awful long way to go. I don't think they have, depending on who they get to replace him, which we'll get into in a minute with Kimi Antonelli. We'll get into that. I'm probably butchering that man's name, but anyway, with him being the front runner at the moment, he brings almost more commercial value than George. George is great for the meme, right? He's funny, he gets on well with Lando, but at the same time, I don't know, since joining Mercedes, it's almost like all that laughter and not taking himself too seriously and all that just got stripped from him the second he put that racing suit on, which I think is also evident in Valtteri for the Australian Grand Prix and the commercial that he did for Uber Eats. I feel like that side of Valtteri we didn't see. At Mercedes, we didn't see that happy-go-lucky, funny, hilarious side to Valtteri all that much. And I feel like it's almost like a poison chalice at Merc. They just go to that team and everything funny about them, every ounce of their personality just disappears. I don't know if it's because it's that race-winning mentality that we're chasing the 8th, we need to do this, or if it's just the fact that they want to be seen as that premium team. I don't know. But I feel like they're taking themselves too seriously and they need to come down a few pegs. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I don't think they have the commercial value without Lewis, and I think we're going to see not as many bits of promotional material surrounding Merc in the future. It's already evident in the fact that Toto no longer does as many talks with Sky F1 anymore. He's not really on Netflix all that much anymore. It's almost like he's got it written in his new contract that he doesn't have to do interviews because either he just doesn't want to or he's too ashamed to. I don't know. Maybe he's just taken a step back to give Horny Horner a chance. Sorry, I shouldn't call him that, but I will. To give him a chance to shine. I don't know. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Because, well, we'll have to see with silly season. They're going to announce who's replacing Lewis at some point. I want it to be Carlos. I'm praying that it's Carlos. I'm holding out hope that it'll be Carlos, but we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? One thing we do know, though, and this is the final point that I'm going to touch on in this week's episode. I know it's a short one, but we haven't really had a lot to go off of this week. We're going to go for the news that came out today at time of recording. So that's the 11th of April. Wow, how are we in April already, by the way? Alonso has just signed a multi-year contract with Aston Martin. Now, I would have thought he would have gone to Merc if the option was there. However, do we think that Daddy Stroll, Lance and Lawrence, do we think that Daddy Stroll has Adrian Newey where he wants him from Red Bull? Do we think that Red Bull is secretly imploding from the inside and Daddy Stroll has tempted Adrian Newey over with some cash and they just haven't announced it yet, and they've tempted him over, and that's what's kept Alonso there? Who knows? Who knows? I said this when Lewis said he was going to go to Ferrari. He's obviously seen something in that Ferrari car. Alonso has obviously seen something in that Aston Martin. And this isn't me being a Stroll hater, but I feel like no matter what Alonso does, he's going to look better at Aston Martin regardless, because Stroll cannot drive a Formula 1 car. I'm sorry, he just can't. Still better than the Alpines, though. Wait, sorry, I shouldn't say things like that. I also shouldn't make passing comments that Alpine are the new Williams. Changed my mind. Anyway, multi-year contract. I was very shocked when this news came out. I'm happy that he's choosing to stay. I feel like he's happy there. I feel like we see a very bubbly side of him on camera, off camera. Him and George are very buddy-buddy though, so it does surprise me that he didn't end up at Merc. But he has his reasons, same way Lewis has his reasons. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. He's performing well in the Astons, and he will continue to do so for a multi-year contract. Whether that's 2 years, 3 years, we don't know. But good on him. Good on him for sticking to his guns, and can't fault that. You cannot fault that at all. So, we've kind of gone a bit back to front in this episode. We've spoken about what's gone on off the track to begin with. I feel like that was the pressing thing on my mind, so I wanted to get that out of the way first. So what we'll do is we'll then go into, obviously, who won the race. Obviously, you guys have watched the race. It was interesting. Sucks to be a European fan of F1 at the moment. It sucks to be us. We're having to get up very early. But it's fine. We move. So, obviously, we know that it was a Red Bull 1-2. Max Verstappen. How do you guys pronounce it? I don't know. I feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong every time. Sergio and Carlos. Which, again, I feel like Charles is fuming. Charles is fuming. Do we think they should have gotten rid of Charles instead of Carlos? I do, personally. But, again, just my opinion. I feel like Carlos has nothing to lose at the moment. And because of that, he is just pushing it to the absolute limit. And I'm here for it. I am well and truly here for it. Long may it continue for the rest of the season. I think he is on one at the moment. And I'm excited. I want the announcement to come out already what team he's going to end up at. I don't want to wait anymore. And you best believe that when it does, and if my God he gets announced for Merc, or even Red Bull, I'm going to do a whole episode on the meteoric rise of Carlos Sainz. Because that man, honestly, Jesus. But yeah, that is going to be another episode. Until then, it's been your girl Bex. Have a great week, and I'll catch you soon. And we're back. Hey everyone, Present Bex coming at you with the race rundown for the Miami Grand Prix. Right, where do we even start with this? I think we should start right at the beginning. What in the hell happened in turn 1? Just saying. How the hell did the two Red Bulls not hit each other? Like, just throwing it out there. How did they not hit each other? Checo took a leaf out of Stroll's book and just fucking went for it. He went for it. He so very nearly hit the back of Max. It was unreal. I was like, what the hell? So yeah, I found that very entertaining. I'm still in shock. I've watched the replay about 4 times and I still don't know how they didn't hit each other. If only Danny Rick was able to pull off that manoeuvre. Am I right, Red Bull fans? Sorry. If you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. I hate to be that person, but if you know, you know. Okay. Another thing that happened with the Red Bulls, obviously, the barrier in turn 15. Max was not a fan of the barrier. He decided to take it for a little ride. And that led to a virtual safety car. The first safety car of the race, while they removed the bollard. Which, I mean, I'm not, for obvious reasons, we'll get into that, I'm not angry about it. I'm not angry about it. It bunched up the field a little bit. Lando decided not to pit, which at the time was a bit stressful for my old McLaren heart, but obviously, as we all know, that paid off in the end. Within the virtual safety car mess, we also had Hulkenberg that was just on crack, by the way. Him and Lewis, oh my lord, they were just on crack, just overtaking each other. I think there was like 3 or 4 overtakes during this whole mess, which was great to watch because I honestly find Lewis fighting in the midfield oddly satisfying because it's about time he got humbled. That's, again, just my opinion. So that was fun to watch. That was great to watch. It was almost, God forbid, dare I say it, felt a bit like old F1 back again. You know, the midfield bunched up a little bit more. And then everything seemed to be going swimmingly. At this point, Lando still hadn't pitted. He was ahead of Max. I was happy. I had it in my head at this point that, you know, the same thing would happen. Max would tease Lando a little bit, let him have the lead for a little while, and then round the outside and overtake. So, when K-Mag smacked the shit out of Logan Sargent, the home race homie, as I'm going to call him, into the wall, and that safety car came out, oh my god, I was so happy. You save 9 seconds in a pit stop, right? And Lando had an 11-second lead, I believe, once the virtual safety car, or once the safety car unbunched everybody so that they caught up with Lando. At one point, he had an 11-second lead. Excuse me, sorry. So in that time, he was able to pit and come out again and still have a 2-second gap, which is absolutely fantastic. So, he then pits. The pit stop was standard. It was standard for McLaren. It was good. There wasn't anything bad. He obviously then comes out 2 seconds ahead of Max. Thank the Lord. Lando then obviously controls the pace when the safety car goes in. Now, as everybody knows, I am a McLaren fan. I am a Lando Norris fan. I am not the biggest fan of ye olde Max Verstappen. I think he was pushing a little bit at that safety car restart. I think he was trying his luck a little bit. And that's probably me coming from a biased place. I will openly admit that. But I genuinely believe he was pushing it a little bit and needed to stop pushing it a little bit. We'll go into that. Anyway, the safety car goes in. Our favourite racing driver, but my Lando, goes into the pits. He's done his job for the day. He's got paid a decent amount. Off you crack, lad. They start again. Now, as a McLaren fan, I was damn near having a heart attack. I was sat with my mum because my dad decided to go to bed early. What a race to miss, by the way. He decided to go to bed early because he thought it was going to be another boring one, you know, standard Max win and all that. Don't we all at this stage? Are we all really watching Formula 1 in the hopes that Max won't win? I mean, seriously. So, he goes to bed. It's me and my mum. My hands are sweating. Knees weak, arms are heavy. No, we're not going to quote Eminem right now, but you get the gist. I was sweating. My heart rate was elevated. I was messaging my friend in our F1 group chat. Holy crapiola, I was stressed. I was stressed. With every second that the lead increased, I was stressing more and more. Now, sorry, excuse me, Jesus. What this did highlight to me was that the Red Bull is not very good in dirty air. The Red Bull is not very good in dirty air. He couldn't get it to steer around corners. The balance was just all off. Now, I don't know if that was because of the way the car was laid out for the weekend, or if that was just because it was having a similar trouble to the way the Merc was in previous years. Now, obviously, the Merc didn't drive very well in dirty air back when it was, you know, winning races. Do we think, let me know in the comments, that the Red Bull has a very similar situation based on what we saw this weekend? Do we think that the car is not used to driving in dirty air and that's why Max couldn't get a grip on it? I personally think that they're going to have very similar issues, and the fact that the car cannot drive in dirty air, basically, which, I mean, now that their chief designer's gone, that was the drama of the week. Now that Adrian Newey's left, doomsday for Red Bull, ? Stay tuned. But yeah, all of this led to Lando's first win. We love that. We love that. I know I don't seem very enthusiastic about that, but here is some real life footage. A little bit of a video teaser for you. Here's some real life footage of what happened when I was watching the race, and you'll understand why I'm not overly enthusiastic about it now. So we'll cut to that.
Lando Norris, the man from Glastonbury, and what a festival of driving he has given us today. They are waiting. They are waiting for a moment that they all knew was going to come, but it was just when Oscar Piastri, his teammate, won a sprint race last year. Lando had to settle for second place. The last time McLaren won with Daniel Ricciardo, he's got 2/3 of a lap to go, and you can hear the crowd roaring him on and roaring their approval too, Martin.
Still pushing along nicely. He's not cruising home, and that's got to be the right thing to do. At Lando, then turn 11 of a 19-corner track. There it is, big stop.
Imagine stuff's it into a wall.
No.
I probably shouldn't, but oh my god, I'm gonna throw up.
Becky,
I am. I'm gonna throw up.
he can't lose now.
Don't say that. We said that in Russia, and he ended up in the wall. Remember?
He's probably crying his eyes out.
Yeah, probably.
The United Kingdom have won a Formula One Grand Prix. Number 21 is going to be Lando Norris for McLaren. McLaren team will welcome the former president of the United States into their garage before the race that was meant to be about Max Verstappen. But here in a checkered flag.
Yes! Come on! Come on! Yes! Let's fucking go! Fuck you, Max! Yes! And we're back. As you can see, I need some time to recover. I still haven't fully recovered. I still don't fully believe it. Every time I go on Instagram and I see it, I'm just like, hell yeah. Wasn't expecting it. Was very stressed. Was basically having a panic attack. But it was lovely to see him on the podium, and I cried. I'll admit it, I cried. I think everybody secretly cried. Everyone is a Lando fan, whether you're a McLaren fan or not. Everyone loves Lando for one reason or another, right? He's like the cheeky chappy of the grid. Everybody loves him. Everyone came up to congratulate him, even Lewis. It was so cute. And yeah, it was just all round a really good race. I'm glad that I stayed up to watch it. I was quite tired after moving my fiance in, but I'm glad I stayed up to watch it. You know, 110 attempts, 15 times on the podium, but never in the top spot. And now he's finally a Grand. And then, obviously, off the track, we then have Adrian Newey leaving, Red Bull imploding, Red Bull's demise. No, that's very dramatic. Newey's leaving, obviously. Now, I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to retire for a bit, if Ferrari have just gone, hey, Newey, have some money and come work for us for a bit. I don't know. So we'll have to see with that. I think it would be silly not to go to Ferrari if they opened up their checkbook. But again, you never know. You never know. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose, where he ends up. I think Fred knows something that we don't. I think Lewis knows something that we don't. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, speaking of Fred, him joining the McLaren celebrations, honestly, it cracked me up. I love that man. I love that man so much. And yeah, it was just fun to watch. It was an all-round great race. Now, you know me, I'm not the biggest fan of the American races. I've been very outspoken about the fact that the Americans do not belong in Formula 1. And I feel bad. But no, the race was good. The race was good. And yeah, I guess that's it. The next race, I know it's going to be a short one in terms of a recap, but you've had 3 times the amount of my voice this week because I am terrible. No, I've just been very busy. Now, the next one we have is Imola on the 17th to the 19th of May. And I will be with my F1 friends that weekend and I'm very excited. You never know, I might even get the old phone out, record a bit of live footage. Who knows? If I do, I'll put it in the pod. If I don't, you never know, they might not want to be recorded. If they don't want to be recorded, that's completely respectful, by the way. Like, I respect that. I don't want to, force them into anything. Her and her husband are hilarious. We all bounce off of each other, so I feel like if we did record it would be a hilarious episode. Even if it's just a cameo just to say hi, because I know they listen a lot, so hi guys. Even if it's just a cameo, we'll have to see. I'll ask them. I will see you in the next episode for the race rundown of Imola. Let's go!